And welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show on our continued journey to 500,000 subscribers. So hit subscribe, watch, comment. I'm loving your comments and share with your friends because the nonsense, I'll say it again and again and again, almost in every single episode, the nonsense, it's just not stopping. I know we all would like it to, but it's just not. Think about this. Yesterday, Maria Bartiromo interviewed Trump. And like most of Fox News hosts, she just let him lie and spread misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. Now, last week, Trump flip-flopped about tariffs, and Maria was, of course, sure to bring to them and the effect that tariffs will have on the United States. I mean, she spoke about CEOs wanting to see predictability in the markets, something we don't have, which is why the markets are going down. Play the clip.
But I asked you about this before, and I know you told me when I asked you, I said, you did use some CA, you put this together.
Yeah.
And yet then you come back and you change it up with these tariffs, and you said to me at that time, I did it because I can. I put an amendment in there, and I said in 6 years I can change it. But I think CEOs want to see predictability. They say, look, I have to speak with shareholders. I've got to make plans for CapEx spending. I can't if it's 20% one day and then it's off for a month and it's 25%.
Yeah.
So can you give us a sense of whether or not we are going to get clarity for the business community?
Well, I think so. But, the tariffs could go up as time goes by, and they may go up. And, I don't know if it's predictability. I think
so that's not clarity.
No, I think that they say that. It sounds good to say.
What? No, that's not that they want us to say it. It's called policy. And the markets react to policy. Finally, Maria Bartiromo points out that the stock market is going down because of this unpredictability. Play the clip.
And he was great. He did.
Before you came into the Oval Office the first time, you were a very successful businessman, very successful real estate executive. And a lot of people said, oh, this is the business president. This is it. He's watching the stock market. He knows all about, he doesn't want the market to go down. And now we've got tariffs and the market has been going down.
Well, not much. I mean, in all fairness, not much.
You said, look, we're going to have a disruption, but we're okay with that. Is that what you meant? The stock market going down was the disruption? What other disruption were you alluding to?
Look, what I have to do is build a strong country. You can't really watch the stock market. If you look at China, they have a 100-year perspective. We have a quarter. We go by quarters.
That's true.
And you can't go by that. You have to do what's right. What we're doing is we're building a tremendous foundation for the future. Tremendous.
First of all, who knows what the hell he's talking about? A 100-year perspective? We measure by quarters. We don't measure the United States by quarters. The whole thing just doesn't make any sense at all. But of course, Maria has to stroke his ego and talk about him as being a successful businessman. That had nothing to do with the question. She then goes on to ask him why he even chose to pause the tariffs. First, if you're going to start it, why not have a policy to deal with it? But you start it, you stop it, you start it, you stop it. Play the clip.
Tariffs, because even as you're seeing this optimism and excitement, there's some nervousness over your tariffs. Markets have been selling off. People are not sure how to view it. Why did you roll back or put a pause into some of the tariffs until April 2nd?
Because I wanted to help Mexico and Canada to a certain extent. We're a big country, and they do a lot of their business with us, whereas in our case, it's much less significant. We do very little with Canada by comparison. And I wanted to help the American car makers until April 2nd. April 2nd, it becomes all reciprocal.
Again, the smartest move for Trump to do is to have his policy analysts put out a memo. Just put out a memo on what he's doing. I'm starting, I'm stopping. Now I'm doing it to help Canada, to help Mexico. We're being taken advantage of, we're not being taken advantage. It all comes to an end April 2nd. Seriously, if your head isn't spinning, God bless you, because mine is. But they go on and they speak about inflation. And I got to tell you, for the first time in a long time, she didn't let him off easy with this question. Play the clip.
You wouldn't have had inflation. We had record-setting inflation under Biden. It was a killer.
You
and
may
it's
get
one
it
of the
again.
reasons I won the election.
But you may get it again with these tariffs, right? I
You may
mean,
get it.
one CEO said to me, my input costs have already started to go up. I'm
Well,
going to have to raise prices.
In the meantime, guess what? Interest rates are down for the last 3-4 days at good levels. I mean, you know, when you add interest rates, you're talking about it's gone down. I've been saying, let's get interest rates down. You know, nobody ever gets rich when the interest rates are high because people can't borrow money.
True. True. But again, she didn't let him off the hook. What he did, he just sidestepped it. She then goes and she asked Trump if he expects that there's going to be a recession this year. Imagine that. Now we're talking about even a possible recession. Play the clip.
And I want to ask you about Ukraine and the blow up the other day with Zelensky. Let me stay on the economy for a moment, because there are rising worries about a slowdown. You've got the Atlanta Federal Reserve saying we're going to have a contraction in the first quarter. Look, I know that you inherited a mess, and you said that the other night.
I've only been here,
but are you expecting a recession this year?
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition, because what we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America. That's a big thing. And there are always periods of, it takes a little time. It takes a little time. But I think it should be great for us. I mean, I think it should be great. It's going to be great ultimately for the farmer. You know, don't forget,
Yay, everything is going to be great. It's going to be great. Meanwhile, he's already telling people, brace yourselves. Yeah, there could be a recession. She, of course, bullshits and says that he inherited a mess from Biden. I don't know. I don't know. I don't agree. But then goes on. Trump says in that interview that he wants to cut 70% of the government. No. I'm dead serious about this. With everything that we've just heard, on top of it, he makes a comment. He wants to cut 70% of the government. Play the clip.
They may, but they don't have to do that. They can do it in other ways.
Look, the Democrats say that Elon Musk and Doge are overstepping their bounds. You're right. What Elon Musk and Doge has been able to uncover is unbelievable. Half of us did not even realize.
And stop there. Because look, stop there. You just said, what he's done is unbelievable. Now, you could then add some, well, but what about he's found hundreds of billions of dollars worth of fake contracts, and I read them, just a tiny portion of them, the other night. Transgender surgery on mice, hundreds of, I mean, the money they're spending on all of this stuff, the whole thing's a scam. And you'll find ultimately that the money that they sent comes back to a lot of the people that made those deals, okay? You're going to find that. What he's also done is made people realize how many people should be cut. Because normally you go in and you say, all right, cut 4% of your workforce. He said cut 50%, 60%, 70%. That's a big thing. Now, he's done a great job. And he's paying them.
Let me be very clear about something. You would think after he made the mistake at the joint session of Congress, that speech, that he wouldn't continue to regurgitate the same stupidity. It's something I talk about on my Substack. All right, they are not paying millions or hundreds of millions of dollars for investigating transgender surgery on mice. It's transgenic, which means it is done in order to benefit society, humanity. It's doing experiments on mice so that you could develop antidotes, cures, etc. Just ignorant. And the fact that they let him continue to spew this goes to show you the chaos and the disruption that exists in that Oval Office. But that doesn't stop Trump. He goes on and speaks about the Department of Education. And before I play the clip, I want you to know that despite Trump saying we have terrible education, as we are recording this video, according to the U.S. News and World Report, the United States is ranked 12th in the world for well-developed public education system. Okay? 12th. Now, should we be one? Absolutely. We should be one in everything, but we are not what Trump is saying. Play the clip.
We want to bring the schools back to the states because we have the worst, literally, we have the worst education department and education in the world. We're ranked at the bottom of the list, and yet we're number one when it comes to cost per pupil.
No, again, we are not at the bottom of the list. We are number 12. Trump then goes and says that there are many law firms that he wants to go after. Now, I truly hope that he does. And some of you may be shocked to say, what? Seriously? I truly hope that he does. Watch the clip and you'll understand why. Play it.
That was the law firm that had the Steele dossier.
Yeah, they had the Steele dossier, they had a lot of other things. And we have a lot of law firms that we're going to be going after because they were very dishonest people. They were very, very dishonest. They could go point after point after point, and it was so bad for our country. And we have a lot of law firms that we're going after.
Good, good. How many times have you heard me say, going back to 2017, 2018, that there were 11 allegations raised against me personally in that Steele dossier? The second most mentioned person, the second most, the only person who beat me was White House counsel Don McGahn, literally turning around and saying that I have a dacha, a house next door to Putin in Sochi. I've never been to Russia. Neither has my family. That I went off to Prague with 10 million in cash to pay off a bunch of compromise for Paul Manafort. I've never been to the Czech Republic. I've never been to Prague. In fact, at the time that they claimed that I was in Prague, I was in Los Angeles at USC with my son, hoping that he was going to get a spot as a lefty pitcher for the USC Trojans in baseball. And they confirmed that. And you know how the FBI confirmed it? They went and they spoke to the coaching staff. So I do hope that they go after him. And I hope that they release the fucking papers so that we can all see. I've been fighting for those documents for 4.5 years now. Listen, Trump then goes on and says that he's been tough on Russia. All right? That he's been tough on Russia. Nobody has been tougher. Play the clip.
Have you been as tough on Russia as you've been on Hamas? I mean, what do you want to say to critics?
Well, I've been much tougher because I haven't done to Hamas. That's been Israel that has to do to Hamas. But Israel does tell me what's going on. I think I've been very tough to Russia. Tougher than anybody's ever been to Russia, if you think about it. First of all, we had the Russia hoax, which was a very bad thing, could have led to a war. And that was started by Schiff and all these lowlifes.
I know.
They're total lowlifes. And it was a fake deal, the 51 intelligence agencies. It was, I took all their passes away. They can't participate anymore. These guys know it came from Hunter Biden's laptop from hell, which came from his bathroom and or his bedroom, okay? Not a pretty sight.
Okay, that's not where the Russia hoax came from, not in the slightest. But you also don't believe that Trump has been tougher on Russia than anybody else ever. I mean, he makes these great, bold statements. Unfortunately, they're just not true. And what it does is it sort of casts a doubt of legitimacy when you start making comments like that and then talking about the Russia hoax. Finally, lastly, I want to show you a clip of him talking about President Zelensky's lack of appreciation to the United States. He really, truly hates Ukraine. There's no doubt in my mind. Play the clip.
It was so easy with that same attitude. And I just don't think he's grateful. We gave him, in my opinion, $350 billion. Europe is in for $100 billion. We gave him $350 billion, and he's talking about the fact that they have fought, and there's a bravery because somebody has to use the weapons. But without those weapons, don't forget, I was the one that gave him the javelins that was able to knock down all the tanks. Obama gave nothing. Look, if I were president, that would have never happened. You wouldn't have had Russia going into Ukraine.
Again, why? Why make up these bullshit statements when you know the truth? It's not in your opinion how much money was given. It's facts. Numbers don't lie. People do. And that's what we're seeing here. He's over-exaggerating it by 300%. Why? It's $120 billion, not a lot of money to give to Ukraine? Sure it is. Should Zelensky be appreciative? Of course he should be. Has he been appreciative? Abso-fucking-lutely he has. So why not just turn around and say Why not just turn around and say that the United States does not want, I am the president of the United States, and I do not want more billions of dollars being sent there. Why not just call it for what it is instead of, again, lying to the American people over and over and over again for no apparent reason? This is unfortunately what we're dealing with. This is the chaos I talked about at the beginning of the episode. This is the nonsense that we are going to deal with day in and day out, day in and day out. That's why I'm going to be here. And as always, thanks for listening. Hey, everyone. First of all, thanks for watching. I mean, we're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.